Welcome back, everyone, to the AUDL Take. Well, I did have a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode as far as some new signings for New York. I'm going to be pushing that aside as we move on with pretty much the biggest story to ever happen really in AUDL history, and that is the coronavirus has impacted the AUDL season. It is now being suspended until further notice, and we're going to kind of dive into how we may have saw this coming, what's going to be coming up next. Will the season be shortened? Will there still be a full season? Are we going to just skip right ahead to playoffs? What could actually happen? All of that is going to be talked about in this episode, so strap in. It's going to be a longer offseason than we predicted, but let's kind of jump into what's really going on with the AUDL and as well as the PUL and really Ultimate as a whole as it's been impacted by this COVID-19. So we started to see the virus actually impact other sports as well, NBA being really the first one, but we started to seeing a lot of other things like March Madness was going to play without any fans in attendance, and you started to see that kind of be the trend, but as soon as the NBA started to actually cancel the season because players themselves were getting the virus, you kind of saw the domino effect of what happened. Originally, the AUDL was going to try to play the season out, maybe not have fans or keep fans from really being too close to each other or keeping a good social distance. But as you saw each and every league kind of drop off the map and kind of suspend the season, how long will that take? We don't know. A lot of people are saying, maybe May, June, somewhere in there. We started to really see it happening in the Ultimate world with College Ultimate. We started to see the USAU kind of banning certain tournaments, going ahead and canceling events, looking like they were going to probably just go ahead and get rid of sectionals and regionals. And that kind of has led now to possibly no national championships this year for the USAU and the college division. And that, I think, was the beginning of the Ultimate world really taking hold of what they need to do. And then we saw PUL and the AUDL kind of talk together and see what they think would be the best move going forward. And when we saw that the PUL also suspended their season, we knew that the AUDL was right around the corner. And sure enough, I believe it was Friday that the AUDL came out saying they're suspending the season. We're not sure when that's going to resume, how many weeks they're going to take off. We did get word that they will go ahead and just cancel outright the All-Star game so that they can have an extra week to maybe fit in some games. Because as far as we can tell at the AUDL, they want to make a full season. They still want the 12 games and a playoff and hopefully get a good, complete championship weekend. This was a big year for the AUDL, especially 2020 coming into the new decade with Fox Sports 2 as well at broadcasting the games on Wednesday nights. This was a big chance for this league and the sport of Ultimate to really showcase what it could look like on a professional level, and to kind of have all this happen is a very unfortunate event for our sports league. But, this is an unfortunate event for everyone. This is something that really needs to be taken seriously, and we need to be proactive if we want kind of normalcy to continue as we move on through this year. This is something, I definitely am someone who lives and breathes ADL. I work for the league, and every month right after the season's over, I'm kind of relieved to take a little bit of a break. But after that month's over, I'm already ready to get that off season over with and jump right back into the season. So this is something that I kind of knew was coming down the line. I wasn't sure maybe if because our season was starting in April that we would maybe avoid some of the chaos, but I think this is something that better safe than sorry. This was a very important move by the AUDL. And I think for all sports in general to just kind of take a hiatus, let's see where this thing goes and, hope for the best. Maybe in a month or so this might clear up, but this also could be 6 months of stuff that we're going to be dealing with. We really don't know. And anybody I think who thinks they know more than others, they might just be going off hunch or gut or instinct, but we really don't know. And that's what I think these next 4 weeks or so is going to really be telling as far as where sports are going to go from here, and especially where the AUDL is going to start. It's going to be a longer offseason than predicted, but I think if we do what we're doing now and everybody does their part to just stay safe, if we can all do the right steps, I think everything will be returning back to normal pretty soon. We're going to talk a little bit more about what I think the AUDL might do. I'm not sure about the other leagues, but I've got some ideas myself what the AUDL could possibly do as we move forward for the 2020 season. So now we're going to get into the creative part of this episode, where I think the AUDL will possibly move forward, and have a little fun with this as well. What I think would be unique ways of kind of approaching this season if we do have a longer hiatus rather than just maybe a few weeks off or a month off. Let's say it's 2 months in after April. We're talking about starting in July. Now I think we're going to kind of jump around. These are pretty half-baked ideas, but I think it'll be exciting to kind of, now that we have a lot of free time, us together, we can come up with some fun, unique ways for the season to move on this year so we can still have some professional Ultimate. So if you've got some ideas too of what you think the AUDL should do if the season has to be shorter than what it normally would be, the 12-game season and playoffs, leave your ideas in the comments down below. And also, if you're enjoying this content, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's going to be a long haul now in this new lengthy offseason. But let's jump into one thing that I think would be interesting that the AUDL could do. And this would be kind of, I'm not sure exactly how it would work out. We could do kind of like the old days of College Ultimate, where we just have one big tournament. Each division comes together, and it's one of those 4 to 8 game tournaments where we rent out one field, everybody plays. We have some company, whether it's Fulcrum coming to some of them, or some of the teams themselves put up some film crews, and we just film a couple games that weekend. So basically, a good example would be the Atlantic Division all gets together and plays at Georgia Soccer Park in Atlanta or something like that, and they do one big tournament where they have everybody get together and everybody plays each other once or twice, and you have an 8-game kind of mini season all in one weekend. Now, does that solve the social distancing thing? Possibly not. It would be risky, but it depends on at what level we are when we put on an event like that. But it could be a way to kind of go back to our traditional roots of Ultimate, where everybody's meeting for a kind of a weekend tournament, but it's a way to kind of get the season, and the top 2 teams who come through bracket play and playoff play, or pool play and bracket play, those top 2 teams then will go and play like a mini game, a mini playoff game, and whoever wins that will go to championship weekend. And each division could do something like this. I think that'd be a fun, unique way to kind of show off the roots of where Ultimate has come from, but put it in a professional setting and still be able to broadcast some of these games. Will that help with Fox Sports 2? Possibly not, because we won't have that stadium arena, and it probably wouldn't be very crowd friendly. There probably wouldn't be a way for people to actually seat and have the concessions and kind of this style of stadium play that we're trying to put on in the AUDL, but it would be a way to get all the teams to compete against each other, play one another, and move on a season. Like I said, a lot of these are going to be half-baked ideas, but it's just fun to get a little creative while we have an off-season right now where we're really not sure when the season may possibly start. Another possibly fun way to do this would be to still have to travel, which I think that's really the big thing right now, is to prevent teams from traveling too often, too much. But it could be kind of a thing where each team will play each other twice, and you just go and do a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday kind of matchup. You basically, Atlanta would go to Raleigh, and they would play them twice there. And then some teams would have to come to Atlanta, play them twice there. You basically go and play everybody twice at the same weekend to kind of speed up the season. So this would be probably more helpful if everything's been cleared, but let's say this is way later, we're starting in July, and we need to really compress the season down so we can get to August. You could still possibly fit 12-game season in, but you could have to have pretty much every weekend be a doubleheader, and you'd basically just have to play that same team either Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. And we are getting rid of the All-Star weekend, so that does give another week to kind of fit in this kind of schedule. But that would just be another way to kind of speed things up. There's another thing that we could possibly do is they just get rid of actual divisional championships. Whoever is the top at the end of the season basically just moves on to championship weekend. There would be no mini playoff before championship weekend. So those are some thoughts that I've had. None of these would probably be actually plausible, but they're kind of half-baked ideas because we still want to give you the AUDL season. This is something that has never really been stopped before. We've never had a season where there hasn't been AUDL, and luckily it's never been for like a strike or anything of that nature, but this is something that's unprecedented for all leagues, and for the AUDL, a growing sport where this was its year, and we've been kind of hyping it up as AUDL 2020. It's going to be something you'll never forget, but I never thought it would be something we never forget because we couldn't actually play because of a virus. So it's kind of a bizarre start. I do feel hopeful that with the precautions that are going on now, that there will be an AUDL season, but there's a very good chance it could be cut in half. Definitely think that there's a very low chance that we're actually going to start April 4th. But there could be a chance maybe May, but there really is, there's no evidence to suggest that this is going to be short or medium or long, this hiatus. We don't know. So it's really just going to be a week-by-week thing. I really hope that for everyone's health and safety that this kind of resolves quickly, but we just don't know. As we move forward, I just ask everyone to do your part, stay healthy, stay safe, and I think with the best of luck, we will have an AUDL season coming up in 2020, whether it's shorter or the regular length. To kind of jump into the pool for a second, the Premier Ultimate League had a short season already. I believe each team was going to play 5 or 6 games. So I think they're going to be truly impacted more than anything. There's a very good chance that their season won't happen this year. There is talks about them still probably having a few exhibition games or something of that nature. A wild time to be alive right now. Everything is week by week basis, so keep tuning in so you know the latest information. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thanks again for tuning into the AUDL Take. Kind of a wild one. I didn't expect something like this to happen really when I started the show, to have to do something like this. It's kind of unfortunate because I've had a lot of plans for the actual season, and we were getting so close. So to see it get pushed back is an unfortunate event, but really this is what we have to do. I think it's a smart thing to do. Let's just keep our heads held up high and work through this together. And hopefully, if everything goes well, things start going back to normal pretty soon. But thanks again for tuning into the AUDL Take. I will see you all next week.